Everybody, welcome to another installment of Show de Vie with Mike G, the show of life, the show of Scotland, the show of Diageo, the show of J Rieger, but mostly the show about the world's leading esteemed gin producer, creator, mastermind himself, Mr. Tom Nichol. That's right, I had the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to chat with the master distiller for Tanqueray for so many years and talk about his life, talk about the celebrity factor of being one of the most notable personalities in this industry, and talking about his collaboration with the team at J Rieger and Co. We talk about how they constructed the gin, how Tom knows when the gin is ready, but so much more. Great stories here. This is the life of a man who has impacted the gin industry globally for over 40 years. I can't tell you how much of a privilege it was to chat with Tom and just shoot the shit with him at a hotel early in the morning. So without further ado, I hope you guys enjoyed this amazing chat with the world-renowned Mr. Tom Nichol.
Well, I grew up in a small village called Tullabuddy, and there was a distillery. It was only a matter of half a mile away.
Yeah. Scotch.
Yeah. Scotch. And my father, he worked at that distillery. So it was almost inevitable that somehow
You're going to follow in the footsteps.
Pulled in. I didn't want to. Lots of people don't want to follow their father's footsteps. But eventually, after about a year and a half of a typical dead-end job, he told me that I had an interview at the distillery. Really?
What would you rather have been doing? Because, you know, we want our own paths, or maybe we want to be an artist, you know.
Yeah, well, I was motor mechanic.
Mechanic?
Yeah.
What kind of cars?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I did get a job in a garage. It was a part-time job, but I was hoping that it turned into a full-time job.
Yeah.
And I did all the silly things like repair punctures, and because I was still only 17.
Yeah.
In fact, at that age, I might only been 16. I started working when I was 15, so I'd be about 16.
But that's kind of what you got to do, though, right? At that time, you have to work for a living and can't go off and be putting around, right?
I know. I was always a busy young guy.
Did you like working with your hands?
Yeah. I was always good at school, technical, all the technical things like joinery,
right?
Metalwork. I kind of excelled in these fields. I wasn't much good at anything else.
Really?
No, because I rebelled when I was at school. You know, I just
didn't want to do it, or
I didn't want to be there because I didn't feel that they could actually teach me anything.
Yeah,
it was just a silly young guy. But so I left school when I was 14.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because during the school holidays, when I went back, if I'd gone back, I would have been 15.
Yeah,
and you had to be 15 to leave school.
Oh, I didn't realize.
So I didn't need to go back. So I got a job on my 15th birthday. In a warehouse, and that was really hard. I mean, I was a young guy, but I was only weighed about 7 stone.
Yeah, a lot of heavy lifting and that.
There was a lot of heavy lifting.
Yeah,
and me being me, it was I had long hair, you know, down.
Did you really?
Oh, it was down to my arse almost.
Yeah,
and it was it held me back even at school, you know. We were to go on gliding lessons, but they wouldn't allow me to go unless I got my hair cut. And I said, well...
Was it dangerous, or was it just...
Nah, they just wanted me to get my hair cut.
Yeah.
So I forget it, I'm not going. So that was my school career kind of finished, but... I wouldn't change anything in my life.
Do folks even care, like, that you left? Was it a big deal for them, or they said, well,
no,
working?
No,
so.
I mean, even though my father worked in the distillery, it was we weren't a well-off family.
Yeah.
My father worked shifts, and I didn't see much of my dad. I mean,
really?
He died when I was 24. So
very young.
I was young. But I did work beside him. and that's not a thing to be doing, is work beside your father. But
Yeah.
these totals, he went by the rules,
Yeah.
which was a good thing. It taught me.
But you still
well,
were
work
rebellious
ethics.
at that point, right? Kind of
No.
resisting it, or
Not really. Once I started work, I did exactly what was asked of me.
yeah,
I was drinking when I was 15 because I had a moustache.
Yeah.
I think I was born with a moustache. I looked older than what I actually was.
yeah,
It's not a thing to recommend children to be doing. And then the distillery manager says, "Okay, start on Monday." I thought, really? So that was the start of my career, 40 odd years in distilling. So for the first year or so of my life in a distillery, I painted numbers on the casks.
because you could do that, not touching the booze, not being
Well,
around.
that was it.
Yeah,
You know, and I can still, to this day, I can get an empty cask and I can do tricks with it.
Yeah.
You know, you can turn them over with one finger. And it's simple because if you're doing that all day,
yeah.
you get used to it. I was, when I went to my bed at night, all I could think of was numbers.
Numbers. What about the smells? Because that's obviously something that's all around as well.
Yeah,
right?
well, I was used to that because if you're brought up beside a distillery, and there was a yeast factory close as well, so you always had the smell of the yeast factory,
Right.
and they also had the smell of the cooking of the grains. So it was just, you didn't really think about it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nice when you actually smell it now. The distillery's shut down.
When did it shut down?
It shut down in 1993.
Oh wow. Okay.
I started in 1973, so I was there for 20 years.
So was it what was the kind of predecessor to Diageo at that point?
I went through all the names of Diageo. It
Yeah.
started off a DCL, Distillers
That's right,
Company
okay.
Limited, and I went through quite a few names changes
Yeah.
before we got to Diageo. And it's funny, it's ended up Diageo Limited Company, which is Diageo Company Limited, which
Yeah.
is DCL again.
Yeah.
But
They wanted to be a seamless transition, I think.
well, Diageo, it's a day in the world. I think that's what it means.
Yeah.
And somebody cooked this up. So that was. I can't even remember if it was Diageo when Cambus shut down.
Yeah.
Cambus Distillery was the name of it. But in between times, I did almost every job you could think of in a distillery.
So you were basically, I mean, if you think about it, you were being prepped. You were being
Yes.
completely groomed to be the guy that's going to do it, right?
Yeah. Well, it followed up to the point where at Cambus, I was making liquid carbon dioxide. And
Wait,
you know dry ice, right?
Yes,
I
yeah,
used
yeah.
to make dry ice.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Were you use it? Was it for use at the distillery, or just for some other product that
It
they
was,
could make?
it was for other products. I mean, the liquid was used as in beer,
Yeah.
carbon dioxide, fizzy drinks,
Yeah, yeah. Oh, okay.
power stations, nuclear power stations that needed it for cooling. It was pretty good. I thoroughly enjoyed that because it was a very technical job.
Yeah.
Big compressors, refrigerations, and you never think of that in a distillery. People don't realise that this goes on.
Yeah, there's a lot
But,
of refrigeration's a massive thing. You know?
Yeah, and I had papers in refrigeration. I could remove refrigerant from refrigerators.
Sorry, you're
kinda
very
crazy.
You're a very useful guy.
Yeah. Well, it just went on, and
Yeah.
in Diageo, you learn they did pay you to sort of go to all these things courses.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, why not? They're paying me to do
Yeah.
it. So
Were you a guy that was very open to learning? The world's
Oh,
got so
yes.
many things, and you just kind of dive into it. And
any learning I could get,
Yeah.
I took, because obviously I didn't have anything from school days.
yeah,
So I got lots of things as I went along. But that period of my life in carbon dioxide was I really enjoyed that. I became
pretty
a
interesting.
bit of an expert in it. So
that's
people
so strange.
couldn't. I mean, if I went on holiday for a fortnight,
Yeah,
when I came back, things were totally buggered up. They couldn't
because you're the guy.
well, they
that
couldn't
makes
get it to work. And,
Yeah,
I mean, carbon dioxide, dry ice is particularly, you've got to watch what you're doing.
yeah. Is it dangerous?
It can give you a dry burn, obviously.
Yeah,
But it was really cool.
Yeah.
There was lots of things. Even people coming and buying dry ice for cattle. You know how you burn a number on the cattle.
Right. Yeah. Like a barrel.
Yeah. Well, you weren't allowed to use hot irons in Scotland.
So you have to use.
You had to use dry ice.
Oh my
because
gosh!
it froze.
Yeah.
And then when you stamped the cattle, it burned the hair off and it burned the skin, and the pigment of the skin changed, so the hair grew in white.
That's very humane.
Yeah, well, that's how it had to be. They said that you couldn't use hot irons on cattle, and pantomimes. You know, they always use dry ice and shows. You know, all the music shows that had this dry ice.
Yeah. All the fog machines and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So your business was really dry ice for a long time.
Well, it was
not a long time, but for a
bit.
bit.
It was lots of things. I mean, once you've made whiskey, you've got lots of these grains, spent grains as we called it, where you dried them out and you used them for cattle feed.
Yeah.
So I bagged that when I was young, you know, and I hated that job because I was young. You know, I was just newly married at 19. I was tired all the time.
Yeah.
And I didn't like that job at all. And then I moved on to another cattle feed, just powder, but dried powder.
Mm.
And then I moved to the carbon dioxide, and then I moved to the whiskey side.
Well, so when you're 19, you said because you got married when you're 19.
Yeah.
I mean, most guys. So you're kind of around booze. You can drink now.
Yeah.
Most guys are out having a stag do. Is that the right word for it? They're out there kind of like partying and meeting a bunch of women and things. But it sounds like you really wanted to settle down. Maybe early on, you wanted a family. What were you thinking?
Well, I bought my first flat when I was 18, so that was our home.
Yeah.
My wife and myself, and I was a married man, and that was it.
But did you want? I mean, obviously you wanted to be a married man. I'm a huge proponent of love, but it's like that's pretty young.
Yeah, but I was never one for silly lad things.
Yeah.
You know, I love my wife. I still do, obviously, and it was just that was my. I mean, we had a brand new flat, new apartment, new furniture. We would never have people in to have a party because
they'd ruin it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'd fuck it up.
No, and I didn't really go to parties. I don't think I've ever had a party in my house, any of my houses yet.
That seems like you'd be a hell of a host. I'm surprised.
Well, I don't know. I tend to like my own company as well.
Introspective.
Yeah, I mean, I'm quite happy just when I used to go fishing. I'd sit in a boat in the middle of a loch, fly fishing, and I'd be happy. I didn't need to catch fish.
Yeah.
It was just a solace of just being on my own, because I don't suffer fools gladly.
Yeah.
And I tend to tell people directly
how you're thinking,
exactly.
Yeah. But that's I think that's a good thing.
It's a good thing to a point.
Yeah.
But I won't say I don't have a lot of friends.
What?
But the friends I do have,
very good.
They're friends for life.
Yeah.
You know, if I make a friend, they're a friend for life. So that's the kind of guy I am. I'm just not good in company.
Yeah. Which is, I find it a little bit ironic because you're out there, you're this amazing personality at the forefront of gin globally, and you're hosting classes. People like you. They find you to be this very, very poppy personality. I mean, do you feel like that's consistent with who you think you are? Because you're a big media figure at this point. You know?
It's a stage show.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, any presentations I've ever done, there's been quite a few I've been physically sick before I went on stage.
Really?
Yeah, because my nerves are just, shot. And I've always thought that everybody thinks me as being this big personality. I'm not.
They absolutely,
I'm definitely not. So I'd work my way up. As soon as I start talking on stage, I'm off.
It's fine.
I'm a different character. I'm playing the game.
Yeah.
Although I'm being serious because I'm quite knowledgeable about gin, whiskey, neutral spirits, vodka, you name it.
Right.
Because I've made all these things. So I know that I know more than anybody in the audience. So then
Is there some level of comfort in that?
But it's always pre-presentation. I'm always worried that somebody's going to ask me a question that I don't know.
Really? That's what you're thinking?
Yeah, and I think a lot of people who do stage things, they're quite similar.
Yeah.
Even though they're brilliant, before they go on, they get quite worried about
Yeah.
what's going to happen.
Do you feel you're pretty good at it at this point?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once I get talking.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I mean, it's I have no problems once I start talking. It's hard to get me to stop, depending on the audience, because I can judge an audience
Yeah.
right away. Within the first 2 minutes, I can tell how far I can go, because I want it to be fun for them.
Sure.
Normally, as bartenders, these guys, they work hard hours, long hours, great people. They're my favourite people. Good bartenders.
Yeah.
I don't like shit bartenders, because I mean
People that are committed to a career?
Yeah.
Is that maybe the line?
Yeah, and if they're really good, and I mean, for me, a good bartender is somebody that notices you as soon as you walk in the door.
Right.
That is the main thing. That front door, is the main thing in any bar, as far as I'm concerned.
Sure.
I don't want to be standing at a bar waiting to be served, and then 5 other people come in after me. They get served. That really annoys me. I'm quite upfront in telling people. I just say, "Am I effing invisible?"
Right.
Look at me. I'm here.
But I think at this point, there's no way you could be invisible in a cocktail bar.
No, well, yeah, but again, that's it's something I don't relish, that whole thing.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole master distiller title, everything about me. You go in, you can Google me, and I'm all over the place.
Sure.
It doesn't mean anything to me. Not a single thing. My family think it's great because my daughter, my son, they think my dad's
He's doing a good
quite
job.
famous
Yeah,
in the drinks world. And the people I've met as well, I've met some famous people, but they're only people to me.
Yeah.
They might be famous, but they're the same as me. We're just people.
Yeah.
I met quite a few top guys with Diageo, and as far as I'm concerned, I'm not going to call the Prime Minister Prime Minister.
Yeah.
I'm going to call him by his first name, even though I've been told not to, because we live the same life.
We're just people, right?
Exactly.
That's the thing. Is interesting. There is this persona that predicates everybody. So we're here. We're just sitting in a fucking printing room, right?
Yeah.
Some fucking guy just came in. Did you hear that? You got mail. He's still on AOL. This dude who came in is still on AOL. Boggles my mind. But we're just sitting here talking, And I think for a lot of people, if they just say, "Oh, dude, he's talking to Tom Nichol," but it's like, who cares? You're a dude. I'm a dude. We just talk about life, And I think that helps us do better things, because once you start stratifying the social construct, it's like, well, he's a celebrity. Fuck, man. He's, that changes everything. Yeah. We just can't be two guys talking at that point. So I think it's better just say, well, there's the Prime Minister. There's the queen,
I mean, it definitely is. I mean, I met, I can't even remember his name. It's Cumberbatch.
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah.
I met him at an event, and he just won an award. I had no idea who he was.
Yeah.
But he came up, and we had this Tanqueray bar. Would you like a drink? And somebody came up and said to me, "That's Sherlock Holmes." I says, "Oh, very good." So we actually got on really great.
Yeah,
and we just talked away, and he was smoking away. I says, "Could you please put that cigarette out? It's not doing you any good." And eventually he says, "Oh, I'm sorry," and he put it out. So we had some pictures taken, and my son, he just says, "Wow, do you know who he was?" I said, "Well, did he know who I was?" And a joke. So it's very much, that's the way I look at life. Being that if you want to talk to me, talk to me. If you don't want to talk to me, that's fine.
Yeah,
I'm a happy chappy.
I love that though, because you're just a man of the people. If you think about it, well, but some people, I guess, a lot. When you're teaching, when you're on stage, we'll call it that. Are you pretty patient with folks? Knowing that they maybe don't give a shit about their career, because you've got the serious, as you said, there's kind of that classification, but then you got everybody else. It's like fast fashion for them. Yeah. Is it hard for you to deal with those people in the same room? Are you very patient?
No, I'm very patient. I mean, if somebody's in the room and they ask me a question, I always say that there is no silly question,
right?
Because if you don't know it, you don't know it.
Yeah.
And I'll try and answer things to you. And what I don't like, and I really don't like, is people asking me questions who already know the answer to the question.
I see.
I think you're just a tosser. Just go away. I actually told one guy, I said, "Look, you'd be better just leaving the room because you're just annoying me."
Yeah. And
I shouldn't have said it. No,
but that's okay.
It wasn't good for Tanqueray. They didn't like me doing things.
Yeah.
But I spoke to him after, and he says, I'm sorry. I says, it's okay. I says, but don't be a prat. Oh,
Yeah.
you just ask me a question that you don't know.
Yeah.
And normally what would happen is that after I've had a question session, more people would come to me after it finished and ask me a question than they would, because they're frightened to ask.
They felt intimidated, question. Right? Oh, okay.
But when it's a one-to-one, that's great. But if it's a big event, a really big event, I want to get out of there as quick as possible, because I'm not good in crowds.
Yeah. Is there some anxiety around that?
Yeah, very much.
Oh.
I don't like I don't like big cities. I don't like busy places.
Yeah.
I'd rather not be there. And it's the same for big events. But some of the guys I know, Steve Olsen, as I mentioned, he knows exactly me. He just looks at me and says, Tom, do you want to go for a beer somewhere else?
He can tell it.
And he'll take me away.
He's a spiritual dude. He can sense that stuff.
Oh, he definitely can. And he knows me that I don't like all this. I mean, most people want to just drink away. But and then people want my autograph. I don't mind that. I'll do it as much as I can, but I want to get away. They want to get the pictures taken with me. I can't really understand that either. But I'll do it, and then I want to leave.
Right.
And it doesn't go down well with the PR side.
Right.
Well, it didn't with Tanqueray,
because they wanted as much mileage out of you as possible, you know.
I just felt that they'd got enough, and it was time for me to leave.
Was that part of the transition then, out of Diageo? Because people are calling it a retirement, which obviously you've reemerged from retirement here with J Rieger, but it was just time to step away from the spotlight, or was it something that you wanted to pursue? What was that like?
To be honest, I wanted to get my life back because I was very busy. I was getting pretty stressed. In the last 3-4 years, I was making new gins. So that in itself is stressful. I just dream about.
Well, you obsess about the of course.
And eventually it'll click and say, right, okay, we'll try this. But I was also had my work to do, and I also had to travel around the world. Yeah. And it was just too much. I mean, I'd get back to the distillery and I'd have 1,000 emails, and I always answered every email. At one point, I stopped giving out my business card because I knew that they were going to get in touch with me. I just said, oh, sorry, I've none left. And that was only because if somebody emailed me with a question, I would answer it eventually.
While this is really all stacking up, how was your relationship taxed with your wife? Because for me, when work's hard, it's difficult for me to have great personal relationships too. Yeah,
well, my wife and my family, they realised that probably about a week or even a fortnight before I went to do anything, I was stressed out. Yeah. And I think my wife said to my family, "Look, just leave your dad alone now. Yeah. Don't bother him with anything," because she knew that what I was like. I mean, I don't like flying, so I was worried about that, and I was also worried about the whole thing that I was going to do. So it was a release for me when I retired. Yeah. When I said to my boss at the time, I says, "Okay, I'm retiring in December," and he almost had a heart attack. He said, "No, you can't do this to me. You can't do it." And he dug his head in the sand, and he just didn't want me to retire.
Did they never think about a transition plan for you?
No.
I mean, you've been there for 42 years, something like that.
It was very. I would say the last year or so, I just wanted out of the place. I was counting the days down. Yeah. So I said, "Well, you've got me till June. I'm retiring in June. I'm not working past 60." Yeah. My dad died when he was 60, so I thought, I'm not
following in that footstep. No. Yeah.
I want to have a life. So that was about the whole idea when I retired, was I'm going to get my life back. Yeah. I'm going to go fishing again. I'm going to go hill climbing. And unfortunately, when I did retire, I think my body just decided to give up. Everything started going wrong with me.
What do you mean?
And I think because I was so busy and all the time. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, I was just sitting on a settee, watching TV and drinking beer and just generally
and your
relaxing.
body's like, wait, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I'm used to the hustle. Yeah, I get that. That makes sense.
But pre-retiring, Steve Olsen had said to me in New York, he says, if if we started making a gin in a distillery, would you make the gin for us? I said, of course, Steve. A little laugh in the background, think this will never happen.
Yeah, because you can say yes, because it's unlikely, right? Yeah.
And then when I was retiring, I think I was in New Orleans, and he says, "Look, would you go and visit these guys in Kansas City? They want to make a gin."
Did you know anything in Kansas City at that point?
No, I'd never been to
Nothing,
Kansas
right?
City.
Yeah.
No. I mean, in fact, I kept on calling it Kansas, and I was abruptly stopped saying it's Kansas City. Kansas is over the road.
It's even confusing for us in the States.
So I went and met the guys, and they were quite surprised that the master distiller of Tanqueray, and I say that in a joking way, would go to Kansas City and make a gin for them. Great guys.
Yeah.
Oh, everything was just so wonderful. Went to the distillery. We just knew each other. Everything in that J Rieger and Co. distillery is right. It's just right.
Yeah.
They've got a young distiller, Nathan, and I talked to him, and he just stuck to me like glue, listening to every word I said. So I said, okay, I'll come and work with you, but at the moment I'm still working with Diageo. I'm retired yet. I shouldn't really even be speaking to you.
Did they have a non-compete or anything that they made you do?
No, not really. I was
so you can do what you want, really?
Yeah. And but for the sake of just, I'd worked all my life, so I didn't want to just be shitty at the end of it. I thought, I'll work right up till I retire.
Yeah.
Then I'll come and meet you guys, and that's exactly what I did. And in between times as well, I was approached by another guy from London. Would you come down, make a gin for me? I said, goodness me. It was quite exciting to a point where I thought, why not? I can work a couple of days a year.
That's not bad, right?
It's turned out to be a lot more than a couple of days a year. But so I made a gin for Jonathan Clark in London. It's a City of London Distillery Cold, as it's called.
Yeah.
And I was really pleased because that gin that I made, Christopher Wren gin, it won double gold at the San Francisco Spirits Award, and that was within a month of me making it. It was. So I was very pleased with that. I helped the guy.
Yeah, right.
And it was all about helping him achieving what he wanted to do and eventually retire. I could see that. He was a businessman. I'm not a businessman. If I was a businessman, I'd be bankrupt. It's not my thing. So I tend to just say to people silly things like, I won't take any money off you because you're not making any money.
Right.
When you start making money, you can pay me what you want.
Right.
Which is not a very good business.
But it is for it. You don't need the money, do you?
I certainly don't. I mean, I've got a good pension. I've got money in the bank. I can do what I want. I don't need to work for anybody. But I've got this stupid thing that I can't say no to people. I mean, there's thousands of gins out there.
Sure.
That a lot of them, really an awful lot of them, are bad.
They're rubbish, yeah.
And it's simply because they don't know what to do. They're just puddling amongst themselves in the dark. And I'm happy to help anybody. Why would you put all your money into a distillery and you have no idea what you're doing?
Yeah.
You're going to lose it. There's going to be an awful lot of stills up for sale soon.
Yeah. Oh, there's going to be a huge bubble here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's mad. There was a 10-time increase in gins from Texas alone in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
There's not enough physical shelf space for that. If you think about it, there's lots of limitations, a lot of things going on there.
And how many good gins are there?
Maybe 2, maybe 3. I mean,
don't get me wrong. I think it's good that they're trying. But,
sure, but you don't get a medal for coming in last. No. You know what I mean? Like I think gin. The reason gin is interesting to me is because it gives you the ability to paint a picture as you see it in terms of flavor, right? There are no real parameters. You can make it spicy if you want. You can make it dry. You can make it sweet. Whatever you want, right? And so that to me takes a lot of creative liberty. And if you don't have a clear vision in flavor, which that's I think what's absent from a lot of these guys, they don't have a true passion for flavor. Then they can't craft anything because they don't really understand what they like in the first place. They're just dating around women that'll never work out,
Yeah.
But for you, I mean, we could go through all the gins that you've created, and they're just lovely. There's a great fingerprint of flavor to each of these, and I finally tried the J Rieger gin last night, and it's just lovely. And what if you could say you have a vision, or rather a paradigm on gin? What is the main thing that you want to accomplish with the flavor?
Well, for me, it's when I ask the guys in Kansas City that, what do you want me to make?
Yeah.
I mean, it's your gin.
That's right.
You know, I'm just going to give you a recipe and I'm going to make it for you, and let's see how things work out. I says I can make you a gin that's way in your face, and people will say, "Wow, that's different," you know,
Right.
and people will try it, and then they're going to get rid of it very, very quickly. Or I said, "Do you want me to make you a really good gin, something that you can do lots with in cocktails and bars?" And for me, I've never made a gin yet that you can't drink straight.
Yeah.
You know, it's if you can drink it straight and it tastes nice, that's it. It's
Yeah.
a good gin, and then you can do what you want with it. I mean, gin and tonics. I love gin and tonics, but if you use bad tonic and a good gin, what's the point?
Absolutely.
So for me, it's creating a gin for people who say they'll get it and say, "That is really nice," and you'd be very surprised how little botanicals I use when I'm making a gin.
Yeah, you do it pretty simply.
Yeah.
I think that's good. Music is simple. Good movies are simple.
Yeah.
Right? When you overproduce it. Talk about the Beatles, right? Because we're just talking about them. Let It Be is not a great record because it is overproduced. I mean, it is a great record. It's the Beatles. Every record's good. But Phil Spector just put too many botanicals in that fucking record.
Yeah.
It's clouded. It's muddled, right? But then you go down to anything that George Martin did, Hard Day's Night, right? Crystal clear. There's 4 parts. You hear each one of them. And I think that's really important in spirits.
Well, definitely.
Anything, probably.
I mean, that is exactly how I try to plan things.
Yeah.
Less is more.
That's right.
In my business.
Yeah.
If I can use 7 juniper berries to make a litre of gin, somebody else might use 100 juniper berries to try and make a litre of gin.
Yeah.
They've just made it 2. And if you do that, you also change all the other botanicals
That's
you
right.
use.
Absolutely.
Because you don't want juniper banging you in the face and just think, whoa, I don't like gin.
Right.
I don't like juniper. But if you can just, like you say, if you can make the music just nice and easy,
Yeah.
so it's easy listening. I make easy listening gin.
Yeah.
So it's and then it's up to the bartenders who, like I say, I love most in life. It's up to them
Yeah.
to do what they want with it, and they can create something really nice. If you've got something too heavy, it's hard for them to create anything without adding too much of this, adding too much of that.
Absolutely.
There are, of course, there's drinks that needs a punchy drink. I mean, whiskey. I was never a lover of whiskey cocktails, but I'm changing.
Yeah.
You know, because I like my whiskey neat.
Yeah, me too.
I don't even like it. I don't like it with water or
No, ice or anything. Yeah.
That's that comes from when I worked in a distillery.
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it. And those days, you could count on one hand the amount of people who didn't take a dram in the distillery. It was part of working life.
Of course.
And
You
it was always stuff that was 60% or 120.
Sure.
You know, proof.
Yeah.
That's the stuff we were drinking. And I'd be, if I drink whiskey now and somebody's put water in it, I'd be physically sick.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but it's just
That's interesting.
But I can't take it.
Yeah.
I don't really drink too much spirits nowadays. Anyway.
No. More beer you mentioned kind of on the couch.
I mean, even in my house, it was like when I was young and my dad worked in the distillery. Nobody ever drank in the house.
Really?
Yeah, and it's the same in my house. I'll drink beer, but I don't really put
It's
that
not
down
the
as
same,
hard
yeah,
spirits. And I never. I mean, I've seen me making myself a gin and tonic in the house. I'll pour it down the sink because I don't enjoy it. I don't have the atmosphere behind. You know,
Really?
sitting with people and enjoying it. And
The social element of it.
yeah, it needs to have that for me, and I don't see the point of just. I feel like I'm just sitting there drinking to get drunk.
Yeah.
I don't get drunk very
Very
often.
conscious guy. Very aware. That's,
Yeah.
I think, a really important thing.
Well, I mean, I've lived my life. I think pretty well.
Yeah.
I don't like confrontations, but
Is that why you don't say no to
but
people?
by the way, if you want confrontation, you'll get it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't like it, but at times I perhaps go too far because I just think, don't fuck with me.
Yeah.
You're talking bullshit.
Yeah.
I know what I'm talking about. And my daughter, she's in the autism sort of job. She's a practitioner.
Oh,
there.
really?
And she looks at me and says, "Dad, you've got a problem." I said, "Oh well, okay."
But we are surrounded in this industry by people that just want to blow smoke. You reach a certain echelon or some level of fame, I guess you could call it, and they just want to buddy up. They're star fuckers like anywhere else.
Yeah.
But it's different because Hollywood has existed for such a long time. People love celebrities. But how do you find it fascinating, the kind of infatuation with master distillers? It's because that didn't used to be like that. That's kind of a recent development.
Well, personally, I don't really like it.
Yeah.
But it's good for the business.
Sure.
As in, like I said, it was good for Tanqueray. It's good for these guys. I mean, they don't fly me over here unless it's for benefit.
Yeah.
But I always say to them as well, look, if it's not going to benefit our business, don't ask me to fly across the Atlantic.
Yeah, it's too
I'm only
long.
doing it for you, for the business to get better. So in that aspect, well, it needs to be there, but I don't particularly like it. I mean, if you've seen me in the street, you wouldn't take a second glance at me if you didn't know in West
Ordinary bloke, yeah.
I mean, when I was in New Orleans, there was quite a lot of us got together, all master distillers. Desmond Payne of Beefeater, really nice guy. Tom Bullitt, and we're all standing together, and it was kind of infatuation with people. Everybody's taking our picture, and I thought, Christ, we're not the Beatles, And it got to the stage where if I had to go to an event, I'd take the side streets at the back because I couldn't walk down the main street, and I don't like this.
It's Tom Mania.
Well, but there's people who would love that,
Yeah.
and I think it's hard to accept the fact that I'm just a guy from a wee place in the middle of Scotland that it's just a wee town. I don't like big cities.
Yeah.
It's just me.
But I like that because it is in such contrast to probably what people would think.
Yeah.
He's like, he's on the stage. He's presenting again. He's talking about gin, and I think we all think this bigger than life kind of personality. But it sounds like you're just a humble guy. You want to sit, relax, spend some time in nature, spend some time with the wife.
Definitely. I mean, that is my life that I like. I mean, I'd be going to the Savoy in London.
Yeah.
And having drinks. God, the ridiculous priced drinks.
That's
well, compared to at home. So I'd be doing all these events. I'd be staying in the very best hotels. I'd go back home and I'd go to the shitty wee pub that I drink in, but it's my pub.
That's right. Yeah.
And I stand at the bar, and I don't really talk. If somebody's talking, it'd be fine. We'll talk about the weather. We'll talk about sport. But I just like to get back to where I am. I like to get grounded again. That's it. Where I'm from. I love where I'm from. It's not a brilliant wee town, but that's my home.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing. I don't want to be away from home too long.
I'm the same way. No. Just little dips. I'm a homebody. Yeah. It's weird because you wouldn't think being in this industry, you figure everybody wants to be out there and be social all the time. But nah, one little thing, then I go back home.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of how it goes.
And that's the nice thing about it.
Yeah. Well, the distilling part's definitely the nice piece. Because even if you're not out there doing classes and stuff, you can always go back to the distillery and just the lab where there's nobody there to bug you.
Yeah. One of the things I liked when I worked with Tanqueray was we had this botanical store, and we had hundreds of tons of botanicals, juniper, coriander, angelica.
Yeah.
And nobody else was there. At night, it was quiet. It was solitude.
Yeah.
I'd go in there because I used to work shift work. I mean, I worked nights and things because there was only 4 guys that made Tanqueray in the world. And it was 7 days a week sometimes, 24 hours a day. I mean, we were
working
flat
your ass
out.
off, yeah.
So at nights, I would go down into the botanical store, and as you walked past all the juniper racks, it was just beautiful. You just got this fantastic smell of juniper, and then you moved on to the coriander. It was fantastic. It just changed the smell.
Yeah.
And then when you got to the Angelica had changed again. I could just sit there all night. I couldn't, because obviously the stills were working upstairs. But no, that was a nice part of the job.
Yeah.
I liked making. I mean, I liked my job, but everything else around about it, health and safety, was okay to a point where it got ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know, you had to wear hard hats, toe protectors, you know, and almost everything, gloves all the time. And I kind of rebelled a bit. I just, well, I'll wear what I want to wear. Toe protectors, fine, you know, but the rest, nah.
Yeah.
And tell me off, we're fine. Yeah, I'll happily retire.
Yeah.
I became a bit arrogant.
But I mean, it happens. You spend so much time doing something and kind of learning the ins and outs of it, you know. So with this latest chapter with J Rieger working on the gin, what's your involvement now? Is everything steady state for the guys? They can make it to your specs?
Yeah. Well, the good thing, I'm coming back in about 4 weeks, and I'm going to do Chicago and then go back to Kansas City to the distillery.
Oh, cool.
That part I love.
Yeah.
I mean, as soon as I walk into the distillery, I'm in. That's what I do.
Yeah, yeah.
So everything is just natural. You know, I know what I'm talking about. And their young distiller, Nathan Perry, he, like I said, he listens to every word I say.
Mm.
So when we made the gin, and it wasn't easy actually making that gin, because I knew what I wanted to get, but I had to change the recipe so it wasn't Tanqueray.
Yeah.
So I had to change all the botanicals round about. I'm talking amounts here.
Mm-hmm.
If you change one, you've got to change the rest.
Absolutely.
As long as you get the balance, that's fine. That's my recipe.
It's a song, right? Yeah.
And I just like you say, it's a song. I bet you people will taste all my gins and they'll say, Tom Nichol made that, because they are very similar, but there's little differences that gets in.
That's it.
And I don't mind that. But as I said, I went to the distillery. We made quite a few batches. Wasn't getting there.
Mm.
And the only thing that got me was Steve Olsen. He kept on pushing me. He said, you can do better than that, Tom. I said, yeah, I know I can, but I know my recipe's right, but the still just isn't giving me it. So we actually changed it. I just had a thought, you know, and it was a stupid thought. I said, what do you call a plumber in America? I said, a plumber. Oh, right. I said, well, do you have a plumber's market you can go to and buy me 10 feet of copper piping? Yeah, okay. So I said, cut it into pieces, and I put it in a section of the still, and that gave me more copper content in the still, and I needed that. And once I made that batch, bingo.
How big is the section? We're talking a foot? Are we talking inches?
Not just a small section, 6 inches in there, and I packed them in. Not enough to stop the vapours going up,
right.
because you can't do that. But it was enough to give me reflux that when the actual vapours hit it, they came back down still, and eventually they had to go
just up. A little bit more of rectification.
And so I mean, it worked, and I was so happy. So
that's
Nathan was with me at every inch of the way, and said, right, this is what you've got to do. And it's not just the botanical, the flow rate.
Yeah.
Stick to this. You must stick to this. Use your wristwatch, use anything. I want it to go at that flow rate.
Yeah. Did
it. Everything went great.
That's amazing.
And I said, well, that's fine. You stick to that, son. You've got the botanicals, which are the best botanicals anybody will ever get. Nobody in America's got the botanicals that we've got.
Yeah.
Because we sourced them, outsourced them. And the neutral spirit's the best neutral spirit we could get. If you've got the best ingredients, as any chef will tell you, you can make you a great meal.
Absolutely.
So that's what we've got there.
But a shitty chef can screw that up too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it is, if you have both, the talent and the ingredients, there is no limit to what you're able to accomplish.
I mean, that's it. And Nathan, he's like I say, he sticks to it. And we sat down one day and we had a long talk. And I've told him things that I've had to learn in all my career.
Yeah.
And they say, well, look for this, look for that. Knows it constantly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because you will know, and the more you knows it, you'll know exactly everything is right.
That's right.
You should be able to. I mean, I had this trick that when the spirit was running to the still, and the spirit safe, I could dip my hand in and I could tell you what strength that spirit was.
And from your hand?
Yeah.
Could you
Just by
evaporation
feel.
at all, or just buoyancy?
No, because it was the amount of oils that were in the juniper.
Yeah.
Because they start off quite low, and the oils start coming off, the essential oils,
Yeah.
and then they get heavy, and then they start to taper away.
That's right. Yeah.
So you can tell. Yeah, I could probably say to you that the still's been on for 2 hours. The strength is that.
That's amazing.
And it was just a wee trick. I quite enjoyed that.
Yeah. You're a gin whisperer. Is what
Yeah. So this is what I'm trying to teach Nathan.
Yeah.
And every time I go to the distillery, we'll talk about things. And the next gin that we make, because we're in no hurry to make another gin, we want to get all our products established. The next gin that we make is going to be Nathan's gin.
Yeah.
He will tell me what he's putting in it, and then I'll just help him along.
That's amazing.
And because I don't want it to be Tom Nichol's gin, I want it to be Nathan's gin.
Right.
Because by this time, J Rieger and Co, everybody will know it.
Yeah.
Well, lots of people will know it. So
that's amazing. Do you like that mentor role?
Yeah, with Nathan, because
with him specifically,
he's a good guy. I mean, if he didn't listen to me, I wouldn't be prepared to do it.
Yeah.
But he knows I can just tell that he's taking it all in.
Yeah.
He's a very, very clever young guy, and I really do expect that within 5-10 years, he'll surpass me completely.
You all right with that?
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I know. I'm just why.
You're not an egotistical guy.
Oh Christ, no, fuck no. No, I'm happy that if somebody's good at their job, we're great. And I've always, because I've been hard working, I've always said that if I can't do something better than somebody after 2 years, I'm not doing it right.
Yeah, what the hell are you doing?
I'm just not doing it right. But by 2 years, I should be doing it either better than them or as well as them.
Sure, I agree. 2 years is a key point.
Yeah, it always was for me. So that's how it was.
Well, so this is a Texas tour. We get a couple minutes here. We're Ryan in a second, but San Antonio's next. Today, you guys are heading out there this morning. You're going to do a similar class with the J Rieger Gin and talk about gin. Yeah. When are you heading back to Scotland?
Saturday.
Saturday, okay.
Saturday, I fly to London and then London to Edinburgh.
Yeah.
So by the time it comes to the end of the week, I want to.
You want to get back there?
I mean, my wife, she more and more now. She doesn't want me to go away. She didn't mind years ago. Yeah. But it's now. She doesn't want to be in the house herself because the kids aren't there anymore.
It's y'all's time now, right? Like this era. Yeah. It's for you guys to bond and travel and all of that.
Well, that's it. That's what we want to do.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, we're both retired at the same time.
Yeah.
Well, if I can call this retirement. But it didn't work. I mean, we were on each other's face 24 hours a day. It just didn't work.
Yeah.
This is not right. We've been married for 42 years, but we've never really been together all this time.
Yeah.
And now we are. So she went back, did a couple of days, a week, just short hours. And me doing this, it works well.
Yeah, that's
good.
But
we do miss each other really bad.
But that's a great thing to still miss each other after 42 years. I mean, a lot of people would give an arm and a leg for that.
Yeah, but she still can't quite get the gist of time change. As in, I mean, she FaceTimed me at 5 to 6 in the morning. 5 to 6 in the morning, and I'm looking. It's still dark. And by the time I got to it, she'd stopped. So I thought, well, there must be something wrong that she's calling me at 5 to 6 in the morning.
She doesn't. Yeah.
So when I got her, she says, "Hi." I says, "It's 5 to 6 in the morning." She says, "Oh, it's about 12 o'clock here." Yeah.
Good for you. That's great.
So I thought, oh no, but it's nice to see her. But it's the usual thing. It's crazy at our age, but it's right. You hang up.
Yeah.
Okay, you hang up. You hang up. You hang up. That's silly, but I'm sure you know what I mean.
Yeah, I do.
You don't want to be the one that hangs up because
why did he hang up?
Exactly. Anyway.
Well, so I've got one because I think I got to have a sense of what you find interesting and the kind of guy that you are. But I ask this question of all my guests, and I'm really curious as to what you might say. So, let's say you're at your favorite pub or your favorite bar, anywhere in the world, drinking whatever you want, beer, gin, whatever, and you could sit there and have a conversation with anybody alive or deceased. Who might you like to just sit there and wax poetic and have a good chat with?
Well, that's easy. It would be my father.
Yeah.
Because I really didn't see much of him.
Yeah.
And like I say, he died when I was 24 years old. And I never ever had a drink with my dad.
No kidding.
I never, because it was different.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, because I married young and I moved away from the house, and you know, we had lots of things to do. I was busy at work. He was busy at work. And it would definitely be him.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, share this real quick. My dad didn't really drink. He did before I was born, and it's an interesting story there, but we finally shared a glass of wine over Thanksgiving this last year, and I'm 37 years old, and it was really the moment I was looking for. So I get it, man. I really just wanted to have that moment with him, because people get loose and they get more honest and they get more passionate at times,
Yeah, that's the good thing about alcohol, really.
The good part of it.
It loosens you, and generally you say what you think.
That's right.
Sometimes you shouldn't say what you think.
I don't think it probably takes much for you, though, Tom. Straight shooter, it's been...
I don't know. Normally I'll say what I think at the best of times.
Yeah. Well, it's been really a pleasure chatting with you, man.
Yeah, it's been nice just chatting with you.
I appreciate it. And thanks so much for making time in the schedule. And this is something I've really wanted to do this for a while. So I'm really glad that it worked out. And you've done great work with the J Rieger stuff, and of course your legacy with Tanqueray. But what you're working on now, this is exciting stuff. You're really, really paying it forward now.
Yeah.
And I think that's great. So you guys drive safe to San Antonio. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
Well, there we have it. Mr. Gin himself, Tom Nichol, after 40 plus years in this industry, distilling, marking barrels, learning about botanicals, the smells, the buoyancy, everything you could possibly want to learn about gin. Tom has lived it and breathed it, and we talk about so many different chapters, the Diageo chapter, the co-conspirator and collaborator with J Rieger and Co. chapter. But the piece I found most personally interesting is that Tom, in his speaking engagements and being the celebrity that he is very, very humble. He is very, very pugnacious. He's the kind of guy you want to hang out with and sip and chat. And it was just a lovely experience getting to know Tom. And hopefully we'll get to spend some more time just sipping a beer now and again. And it's funny to hear that he wouldn't even bother drinking a gin and tonic at home. I find that incredibly ironic, but yet really, really lovable, for lack of a better word. So thanks so much, Tom, for chatting with me. I hope that people enjoy this chat. You are a living legend, whether you want to believe it or not. And thank you for listening to Show to V with Mike G. I'll have Ryan Maybe of J Rieger and Co. later this week to complete the J Rieger and Co. week at Show to V. But no matter how many eggs you retrieved after yesterday's Easter egg hunt, or if you're thinking, man, I can't wait for my new shoes to arrive in the mail, please keep dancing.